Central PA Property Talk. I'm Brian with 717 Home Buyers. On this podcast, we focus on helping homeowners across central Pennsylvania understand their options when it comes to selling a house, especially when speed, simplicity, or flexibility matter. One of the most common questions we hear is how selling a house to a cash buyer actually works. There's a lot of information online, and honestly, much of it is either vague or overly sales-driven. So today, I want to slow things down and walk you through the cash home buying process in central Pennsylvania, step by step, from the very first phone call all the way through closing.
Before I do that, let me give you a quick real-world example, because this situation comes up more often than people realize.
An example of a person we were recently speaking with is an elderly gentleman we will call Mr. Tanner in downtown Harrisburg. He had lived in his home for over 30 years, and after his wife passed away, he started thinking about what would happen to the house down the road. The property needed repairs, it was outdated, and he didn't want his kids to inherit a complicated situation or have to deal with cleanup, renovations, or probate issues later on. He wasn't panicked, and he wasn't being pushed by anyone. He just wanted a simple solution. The challenge was that he didn't really understand how selling to a cash buyer worked, and frankly, he was a little concerned about the process. So instead of pushing anything, we explained it to him as simply and clearly as possible. What I'm about to explain now is essentially the same process we walked him through. If you're selling your house to a cash buyer in Pennsylvania, the process usually follows 6 main steps. In many cases, especially here in central PA, the entire process can take as little as 7 to 14 days, although sellers can always choose a longer timeline if that works better for them. The first step is the initial phone call. This is typically a short, no-pressure conversation where you share some basic information about the property, such as the location, the condition of the home, and what kind of timeline you're hoping for. This call is not a commitment. You're not agreeing to sell, and you're not signing anything. It's simply a way to see whether a cash sale might even make sense for your situation. For most sellers, this call takes about 5 to 10 minutes. After that comes the property information review. Based on what you shared during the call, the buyer reviews public records, recent sales in the area, and general details about the property. This helps determine whether a cash offer is possible. In most cases, there's no need for showings, cleaning, or repairs. This step happens behind the scenes and is designed to keep things as simple as possible for the seller. The next step is receiving a cash offer. If the buyer decides to move forward, you'll receive a written offer that clearly outlines the purchase price, confirms there are no repair requirements, and explains the proposed closing timeline. This is where many sellers pause, and that's a good thing. You should review the offer carefully, ask questions, and take the time you need. A legitimate cash buyer will never rush you or pressure you to sign. In many situations, sellers receive an offer within 24 to 48 hours of the initial call. Once you have the offer, the next step is deciding whether to accept it or decline it. If the offer works for you, you can choose to move forward. If it doesn't, you can decline with no obligation. Even after accepting an offer, reputable buyers understand that situations can change. The process should feel flexible and respectful of your needs. After an offer is accepted, the transaction moves into title work and closing preparation. A local Pennsylvania title company handles this part of the process. They verify ownership, check for any liens or issues, and prepare the closing documents. Most sellers are surprised by how little paperwork they personally need to gather, since the title company does most of the work. The final step is closing and getting paid. Closing can take place at a title office with a mobile notary or sometimes remotely. Once the documents are signed, the funds are transferred, often the same day. From start to finish, many cash sales in central PA close in about 7 to 14 days, but sellers can always choose a later closing date if they need more time. There are a few common concerns that come up often, so it's worth addressing them clearly. In most cash sales, you don't need to make repairs.
You don't pay real estate agent commissions. You're not locked into anything just for asking questions. And you should always feel comfortable walking away if something doesn't feel right. The most important takeaway is that selling your house for cash should feel clear, calm, and transparent. Understanding the process helps you make a confident decision, whether you're ready to move forward now or just exploring your options. If you're a homeowner in central Pennsylvania and you'd like to talk through your situation, you can call us at 717-321-SOLD. That's 717-321-7653. Or visit 717homebuyers.com. There's no pressure and no obligation, just a conversation to help you understand what makes sense for you. Thanks for listening to Central PA Property Talk. I'm Brian, and we'll talk again soon.